I can't believe I'm going to say this, but if this was real, I think they rigged at least one of the races, if not all of them.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hey, I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about the newest installment in sports, okay? Health meeting sports, if you will. I have a lot of goals with this video. Obviously, I want to review this event with the maturity and patience it deserves, but I also would like to avoid being demonetized. I don't think that's going to happen. So we are first going to say thank you to our sponsors. So let me take a second to tell you about the sponsor for today's video, Squarespace. Have you ever wanted to start a website, maybe to promote a racing event of your own, or to critique and review other racing events? Well, Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform to help you stand out and succeed online. Squarespace has a ton of incredible templates to choose from, and with cutting-edge design, you can customize any part of it to fit your needs. They make it super easy to sell physical products as well as offer services and sell web courses. And you can make better business decisions with their built-in and intuitive analytics tool. You can go to squarespace.com to get started with a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Swell Entertainment to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you would like to support the channel in other ways, you can go ahead and click join down below and join channel memberships, and that gets you early access to videos, bonus B-roll content, including the B-roll for this video, as well as a live stream a month that is just for you guys. Who knows if this video will be demonetized or not, because I do feel like I've covered worse events, but I never really know what YouTube is going to tolerate and what it won't until I see what I get away with. Okay, anyone else remember the certain plushie that I showed for too long in the LA Comic-Con video? Yeah, that video is demonetized. And I've also gone to, adult video conventions. I never know what they're going to allow and what they won't. So today we are talking, however, about sperm racing, as in swimmers competing on a microscopic track that apparently simulates a woman's reproductive system to see which school has faster swimmers. I wish I was kidding. When I was at the Long Beach Grand Prix, I started getting a couple of DMs from you all. When I posted that I was actually at this event, the race, the one I just went to 2 days ago, a few of you were like, don't act like this was our fault. You did this. No. You guys forget how diverse my audience is. I got a lot of women, a lot of LGBT, okay? We also have a lot of weird dudes. And then we just have a bunch of you as well that are in all of these categories that are just nosy like me. And of course you want me to go check these things out. So you may not have, but someone did. That's when I first got sent the link to the website. Now, there was no date promoted yet. They were just kind of talking about this is what's going on. Male fertility is on the decline, and we want to bring light to this. Now, when I first heard about this, I was like, this is some form of prank. This is a bit. And the name Anthpo popped into my brain. Anthpo is another YouTuber. I've mentioned him once or twice on this channel when it comes to other things that I've looked into. He does follow the official Instagram page for Sperm Racing. No one follows him. This does seem like something that he would do, but I have no proof that he is involved. But I wanted to include this here in case I am proven right later. A lot of things that I'm going to say, I'm going to include as like a benchmark just in case I'm proven right later. It is currently Sunday, April 27th at 11 a.m. as I am recording this, just so you're aware of the timestamp of a couple of things. Because this whole event as it stands, okay, the whole thing felt like bait. Content creator bait, media bait, news bait. This seems like something that people who wanted attention would post about, okay, or promote or make to try and get attention for whatever reason.
Which they did say was their whole point, to promote the decline in male fertility. But again, if that was the goal, there was an infinite number of ways they could have gone about this.
But the website had some scientific details to it, okay, including a mock drawing of the microscopic track and how they were going to simulate the fertilization process, essentially the path to the fertilization process, as a means to motivate the swimmers from the samples to see who would win on this microscopic track. I actually missed the original ticket drop, and then I saw on Instagram that the event's still on for April 25th. And that's when I found out that it had actually been scheduled to be at the Hollywood Palladium. Crazy location for this. I also don't think that would have worked. So then they ended up getting a new event location, and that's the one that I bought tickets to. This was done via the Dice app, which I have never heard of before. So I had a general admission to Sperm Racing LA at LA Center Studios, presented by Cabal Trade Inc. My ticket price was $40, and it just said that doors open 6 p.m. Now, first and foremost about this event, because they were talking about this being like a race, but then they went into a lot of like boxing, MMA, a lot of like fight style promotion for this race, because the title card was actually two students from different schools, UCLA and USC. Asher Proger and Tristan Mickle, but they called him Tristan Milker. When I was looking into this more, trying to see how real this was, I was suspicious of the fact that both of the title card students that were competing, their social media seemed to start and end with Sperm Racing, in that their first posts were on April 15th. So this month, their social media posts. Tristan's makes sense because he has a different social media page that goes back to like 2023. That makes more sense. Tristan does go to USC, and it seems like Asher does in fact go to UCLA. Now, the undercard fight was content creators / influencers, Noah Boat and Jimmy Zhang. Yes, there was in fact an undercard for the sperm race. I go to this thing, okay, and a few of my friends were like, what the fuck do you mean? Why are you there? What's going on? It's like a big warehouse space, okay? And I get in line. I'm like maybe 5 or 6 in line. And already going into this event, I was like, this is going to be fascinating, because they had a VIP line, okay? They had a VIP area inside, but they had a VIP line outside. While we were in line, journalists started walking up, because there was a lot of journalists here. They just kept asking, why are you here? What's the draw? What do you think is to expect? And I was like, I'm a content creator and I review events. That's it. That's really it. But apparently, the reason they relocated, according to one of these journalists that I spoke to, okay, I don't know how true this is, one of the organizers for this event is 17 years old. And so apparently the reason they had to move, allegedly, I don't have this confirmed, okay, is because they found out he was 17. Now, 2 issues here. Dealing with adults, all the competitors were adults, adult substance is the one issue, okay? And then the second issue was the promoting of gambling that the event was doing. They have a couple of sponsors for this event, because one of the reasons that the event went as well as it did, okay, is because they had somehow managed, not somehow, I know exactly how this happened. They were able to raise 1.5 million, apparently, in sponsorships. The winner for the title fight, by the way, was only $10,000, which is a lot for a college student. I'm not knocking that amount for the winnings, but when the event itself is bringing in that much money, like, I don't know if that was like a cap of what they could give to a college student. I really don't know. One of the sponsors was Polymarket. Polymarket is, I gamble responsibly. If I'm talking about this because I think it's relevant, and I'm going to talk about what's going on and what I think happened and all this stuff. So I have to talk about this. If you're going to do it responsibly. Okay, be an adult. Don't gamble all your life savings. Okay, thank you. That's the best I can do. I am not a financial expert. I am not promoting gambling here. Polymarket is basically you get to bet on the odds of something happening or not happening in the world. Okay, politics, the news, pop culture, etc. But they were a sponsor of Sperm Racing. So obviously underage gambling and things like that. That's my understanding of what the issues were. There was a team. It wasn't just this one kid. This kid is actually like known as like a teen tech millionaire, apparently. Shu, who one of the people, and apparently is was making $20 million at 15 years old, according to Nas Daily. So he's one of the organizers. There's a few other ones. There's another guy who I don't know. I think this might be his real name. Goes by Dick Gay.
That is not his real name. His name is Luke. His name is down at the bottom here.
And he has titled himself Mr. Sperm Racing. He was in character the entire time. I'll give him this. He was locked in. I thought he was like one of Asher's buddies, one of the competitors for the title fight, but he was apparently Mr. Sperm Racing. So I don't know why he was walking in with Asher the way that he was, because it looked sus. I was suspicious of at least the results for most of the fights based on what happened. And then once you see the footage of the microscopic race and all that, you'll also have questions. Go inside through security. They did have us go through security. And then right away, we are shown the merch tables. The first thing we see is a pile of stuffed animals. This is an egg. This is the one I chose. They did have sperm. stuffed animals as well that were like bendable. A lot of girls were attaching them to their bags.
Even Sperm Racing has merch. Oh my God.
And then we also had Sperm Racing tryout kits. Get on leaderboards, be a future racer. Then they also had Nucleus, one of the sponsors as well, and it was genetic testing. They had a table that had like sweatshirts and genetic home kits, I believe, and that was all costing money. And then on the other side of that, they had Sperm Racing merch. Apparently this will be available online. They had jackets and t-shirts. And then you went inside. No food at this event. Now my audience here knows how I feel about sporting events that don't offer soft pretzels, but I'm just saying if you guys want to make this like a legitimate sporting event, I think you need to have soft pretzels. Also, how hard is it to ask for a food truck? I know you guys had a parking lot space. You could have gotten a food truck out there. Just saying. Having food options would have been good, especially because this was like 3.5 hours. This was a long event to not have any food. Go inside. It is just a big warehouse space, essentially, that they have put a stage, tubes, and then a ring diamond platform into. The concept of this event, I think I liked more, and I was impressed by a lot of elements of how they put this on. I can't knock that. The actual production of it all, pretty well done. But elements, especially because they didn't do certain things, clearly because I think they faked this entire thing. At the very least, I think they rigged it, okay? Which is why Polymarket being involved, I think, is an issue. By the way, if you would like to go and watch this whole event, it's for free, available on YouTube currently.
Music cut out, and now it's just awkward because she's asking people if they have seen sperm or eaten sperm. So it's just awkward.
People were filtering in. I talked to a couple of you guys. A few of you recognized me, which is very nice. Some students from UCLA recognized me, and we were talking a little bit, and they said that they had found out about the event because they were promoting it on campus and handing out flyers. Like I said, certain elements of this event I think were really well done. Like at the center of the stage, they got the microscope and the table all set up down at the end where like the ring would be. They had full-on UCLA and USC style sportscasters. They were all scripted. They did have scripts in front of them, and they were in fact reading off of scripts, which is a bummer because, I would love to see what these two would go with. There's an element of production value to this that I do admire, even if the whole thing was in fact a production. That's what I can admire, was the fact that they planned this event, got a venue to agree to it, and put on this event, and finished the event, and seemingly no one got hurt, aside from the fact that there were 2 fights, but they felt like fake fights, so I don't know how real this all was. Elements that I wish they would have, tweaked. I wished you guys would have leaned more into the whole this is health as sport thing, and leaned a little bit away from the jerking jokes. Just a smidge. The amount of people that reached out to me from like the motorsport space, okay? And I'm not just talking about other creators, like journalists and all of that were talking with me. They were like, I like the concept of like health as sport and like the science behind this and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that would be super great if they like focused on that in any real capacity. The concept of a microscopic racetrack, very cool. The racetrack was 8 inches. I did find out about that from an article that I read that had been come out before the event. 8 inches does seem like another joke inside of that for a microscopic track, but literally anything for the event itself, actually talking about here's how this works, here's the track, an actual track style analysis the way you would see with literally any motorsports race. It was like they used the racing element as like a draw and like that's it, but like the actual bout itself and the marketing and all of that and what they actually cared about was the fight element of it all. That's fine. I just think there's a way to do both simultaneously, okay, and get me to actually care a little bit more about the science of it all. Like focus on the science and the health elements. Like there did a little bit of that, but it was so wrapped up in jokes and everything that I was like, I don't even think you really care about this. So they had 2 of the commentators walking around talking to students, making dick jokes, asking them last time they had seen sperm, tasted sperm, things of that nature. Off to a stellar start. They did do card checks, so they verified everyone was 18. But I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this? That makes sense, I suppose. Then they did walkouts for all 4 of our racers, for the undercard and the title card. Why they did this instead of doing walkouts, weigh-ins, face-offs, fight, walkouts, weigh-ins, face-offs, fight, I don't know. Jimmy Zhang and Noah Boat came out first. Jimmy came out with a whole crew. He had all white outfit on. So did the rest of his crew. Armor said Nut King on it. What they also kept doing was reading off their testosterone score. Which, funny. I'll give them that. Noah was delayed, and so they gave Jimmy a mic so he could talk shit. Come out, do all the stuff. And then they weigh them both while they're still talking shit, essentially. These aren't real weigh-ins, obviously, because they all kept all their shit on. All right, so this is just like the joke of it all here. Like, the whole thing is bullshit, and I think that's why I'm irritated, because I'm like, so much was done well here, and then so much was like, this is just annoying. Then they asked them questions about their training regimens, when's the last time they trained, things of that nature. And this was, I believe, someone with legacy health, okay, specifically doing this, because she referenced checking our Instagram and we're going off of like some of the things that we talked about for male fertility, including she told Noah that one of his training elements that he shared was actually going to hurt him, and that was doing ice baths. And they did a face-off, and during this face-off, Jimmy took one of the water guns and sprayed Noah. So they went at it and got separated. Listen, I never went to university, okay? So I really don't get the whole school pride thing, okay? I just don't. Sorry. There was multiple times where I was like, are UCLA and USC gonna fight? I thought there was gonna be a brawl a couple of times. I was like, what's my plan here? Because I'm pretty in the middle of things. I was, you'll see me if you watch the broadcast, because I decided to wear a bright green sweater and stand right next to the stage. If you're watching the broadcast, where the crane is, you will see me. I'm on the right side of the stage when you're facing the microscope. I'm the short brunette in a bright green sweater. Then those two leave. Then they bring out Asher and Tristan. Now, Tristan came out in his like race suit, and then Asher had a race suit as well, but he didn't come out in it. And then this is also where Dick Gay, Mr. Sperm Racing, came out with Asher. Asher came out alone without any friends walking out with him, just Dick Gay. So I do wonder if Dick walked with him, or I'm sorry, Mr. Sperm Racing walked with him for the purpose of the fact that he wouldn't walk in alone. Smack talking each other, all this stuff. Then they do the measurements. Then they do the questions and all of that. They're still smack talking each other. Asher had his sunglasses on inside pretty much the entire time. They leave. We bring back out Noah and Jimmy. And they put Noah and Jimmy into tubes that are on the stage. Fascinating way to do this. Then they have two guys walk to the stage. One is in a lab coat, one just has an iPad. Samples were given earlier in the day before we even got there. Were these ever even real samples though? Who knows? Because they didn't go into detail at this point. They kept focusing on the commentators. While they were doing the weigh-ins and everything, they had someone from Nucleus come in and do like cheek swabs. And then the Nucleus guy, whoever he is, Nucleus, I do think you need to give him a raise. He made sure that Nucleus test kit was in frame every time he was next to someone. Like, we're gonna get that sponsorship money back, okay? Every fight I have pretty much ever been to, they say who the referees are, who's in which corner, okay? Which team they're racing for, whatever, okay? Direct. Same with motorsports. I would like to know who the fuck is the person hitting the little buttons to release the samples onto the racetrack. I want to know who is turning out the lights for the start of a race, okay? I want to know these things. Now, I will say, I was originally going to criticize the methods of him putting into the microscope. However, this whole thing is fake. The more I've talked, the more I've convinced myself that the whole thing is fake. Because originally, I was like, maybe this first race is real. And then the second race of the main bout is fake so that they could have the most exciting third bout. But then the more I went back and rewatched all of the footage of the actual races themselves, I think the whole thing is fake. And so then again, that brings in the betting, makes that worse. Because also the commentators, which they kept also saying, who do you have for the fight? Who is your money on? And one of them would be like, I don't think I'm allowed to say, type of thing. And then again, you got students around, who is your money on? They're asking that of the college students that are there, the other people like me that are just random attendees that are there. They are like talking about Polymarket. Polymarket's on all the marketing. The thing that Polymarket does is that you're not betting against the house, you're betting against the other people that are betting against your odds. I'm explaining this poorly. But like I said, I originally thought this original race was real. And I even posted on my Instagram story, I was like, I hate to admit it, but this is riveting. When I first saw the screen flip, because I'm like, how are they going to show us what's happening on a microscope? Okay. I was like, holy shit, it's working. Okay? They got me. They had me for a while. I'll fully admit to this. I was in the hive mind at a sport. I was as a live sporting attendee like, oh my God, this is happening. This is insane. This is crazy. They made a microscopic racetrack. Was I irritated they weren't going into details about the track? Yes. Was I irritated they weren't going into details about the science of all of this? Yes. Okay. But when I saw those things, those little swimmers swimming around the line and hitting the thing, I was like, holy crap, they did it. This is insane. Jimmy won handedly, okay? And Noah got doused in faux milk-like substance in the tube. It came down from above. Came down. Okay, sorry. I'm trying so hard. Then we had a halftime performance. We've been on our feet for like 2 hours at this point, okay? People are irritated. So some people are dancing, and then I think he said, cut the music off or whatever, and left the stage, which some people around me, guys, thought was very funny. And then that was kind of it. That was done. Then we do the whole rigmarole again. Asher and Tristan comes out. Asher is now in his own race suit. Oh, they also had Tristan call his mom during his weigh-in, which was actually very funny, because they were like, does your mom know where you are right now? And he was like, yeah, I talked to my mom a little bit ago. It's like, oh, can you call her back right now? So he calls her. She's like, I'm very proud, like it was actually very cute. I did think that was funny. That was very fun. They do the first race. Tristan wins the first race. They're side by side, okay? And upon rewatch, this race, again, fully fake. In my opinion, on the rewatch, when you're not hearing the screaming and you're not in the midst of everything, this looks all very fake because if you have ever seen sperm under a microscope or seen anything involving sperm under a microscope, it just doesn't operate like this. It doesn't look like this. This whole thing is fake. There's somehow seemingly the same amount of sperm in each of the samples, even though they're different sample sizes and these guys have different testosterone levels and motility levels, I'm assuming, okay? And yet there's still somehow the same amount of swimmers in these samples versus like one having a couple and then the other having like 100 or something. Some of them swim like a hive mind very quickly and then stop. Sometimes one will slow back down. They all look exactly the same, like just goofy. It's very goofy. This whole thing is fake. Tristan wins the first one, okay? And the second one, Tristan is ahead. Asher gets stuck, but then Asher zooms Vin in the second race. Asher wins the second race. So now we've got a tie before the final bout. Now, already watching the footage, you're like, this is kind of fake. I also know it's fake because they forgot to time the start of the race properly, which is seeing the scientist in the lab coat take the samples and put them in the microscope. I was standing right there. And even the guy, the showrunner, was like freaking out because they started playing the video of the microscope with the race happening before he had taken the injector thingies. I have an English degree and puts them to the microscope for the microscopic track.
This is fake. They had it actually. This is fake as fuck now.
Can't even get your timing right.
Round 2. They're setting up right now. If he wins this one, it's over. There's no One more time. UCLA on top, USC on the bottom.
All right, let's get started. Round 2.
He wins this one, it's over. One more time. UCLA on top, USC.
Something went wrong. Someone played the video too soon. The first race and the second race, one guy won each. Now we have a true tiebreaker for our final bout. So that way we go to all three, okay? And then Tristan wins. Asher gets drenched, and fine. But then now we have polymerkin involved. And I don't know how real the betting was, but I did hear people around me talking about how much some of them had put on the polymarket. So if there was actual money, crypto or otherwise, that was bet on who would win, and then the winner was predetermined. Do you see what I'm getting at? I'm not a lawyer, but that seems like a problem, polymarket. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, really. I am just posing some hypotheticals about what I think may have happened based on what I saw. and what I experienced at this sperm racing event that was sponsored by Polymarket. Polymarket, when you go to Polymarket Sperm Racing. Okay, so you could bet on Noah Boat versus Jimmy Zhang. Right now, Noah Boat was the bet. It had a 122,000 volume. Okay, outcome, Jimmy Zhang. And we've got Tristan, USC versus Asher, UCLA. Tristan, by the time it was done, was at 100% chance of winning. This voting started on April 18th. $328,000 in volume. If you zoom in on a photo, all the sperms look identical. Like it's so annoying. Like if this money is real and this isn't all bullshit and fake, then I think there's a problem here. I'm posing a question. If Polymarket was involved in the event, could they know that it was all rigged and a stunt and fake and allowed betting on it anyway for the outcome of said races?
Sperm Racing put out their methodology over on Twitter after I had finished filming like a day or so later. And they put out how sperm racing works, which should have been released during or prior to the event. They show the microscope view of Tristan from USC Racing versus like the USC traced version, which is what we ended up seeing. They said first, athletes provide their samples on race day before the race begins at the venue under strict medical protocols. Where they're showing this is definitely not at the venue, unless there's another like apartment and or house space at that venue. We were definitely in a warehouse space. And then also their strict medical protocols. Does that involve keeping your, quote, pure sperm 40 with your Celsius in the fridge? Then they do have more information about the actual little racetrack. I would have liked a clearer view of this or even more view of this. They talk about how they get the sperm to actually race. To enhance the spectator experience, we project the leading sperm's position frame by frame onto a more visually engaging 3D rendered track. This ensures 100% accuracy while making the sperm entertaining to watch, since raw microscope footage is, unsurprisingly, pretty boring. So are they still claiming that the race happened while we were there? Because again, like I saw, that sample did not hit that microscope. We recognize that building something truly new often invites skepticism. We're working hard to make the technology better, faster, and more entertaining with the goal of one day seeing it in the Olympics. But again, the timing and what I saw, those samples had not hit the microscope for that one race. Maybe all of them. I don't know. Love the visuals. Great breakdown. Would have liked to have seen this at the event, but also the timing I think is still up for debate.
The event itself, pretty well put on. Would like food, but still. Will there be more sperm racing? I highly doubt it. If there is, would be fascinated to see what it actually would look like when it's not all staged and rigged like this. But I think this is all a big bit and a big joke and a big rigged stunt. And if it was all a rigged stunt to talk about the decrease in male fertility, then I do think there was a better way to go about it than what you actually ended up doing that actually could have focused on the decrease in male fertility. Like there were ways to do this to focus on that element because you kind of touched on it but then didn't really touch it. Did you hear about sperm racing? Were you concerned and or judging me when you saw that there was a sperm racing event that I was at? Were you there? Did you watch? What are your thoughts on the legitimacy of sperm racing as a sport, a concept, or something to bet on? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. Reminder that Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Shout out to my channel members. If you'd also explore channel memberships, you can go ahead and click join down below if you'd like to follow me on all social media. Live it all up here. And that's going to be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. I will say that before the race, one of the journalists was like, is there anything else you want to say before like we're done? And I said, I have to get one in. May the best swimmer win. And I do stand by that.